You don't go get a college degree, be a developer. And unless you know somebody in the industry, you really don't ever see what it's like. You know, just like your story. You happen to be working tangentially with developers. You built relationships with them and you saw what they did. And then you just asked the question, like, how do I do this? And they said, well, if you're the right person, we'll teach you how. What qualities, characteristics do you think somebody needs to be a developer?
Kristi Kandel is a leading real estate developer with over 20 years of experience.
To be honest, it gets kind of boring. I don't want to build another shopping center, and I have the house on the island with the boats, but what's my bigger purpose?
She grew up in a small farming town in Ohio and over the years has called many small towns across the country home.
Our small towns kind of been left behind. The big guys don't know enough about a community to know, would this project work?
What Kristi learned is that every community has its own unique charm.
Owensboro has two things that made Krispy Kreme fail. Do you know what they are?
Definitely wasn't our mom. She loved Krispy Kreme.
No.
Something only locals truly understand.
It's the local donut shop.
Every Sunday morning, there was a thing of donuts.
And that's the second thing. How many churches are out on the south side of town where Krispy Kreme went? Almost none. And so... And if they would have spent one day in town, they probably could have figured that out.
So many of these towns have been waiting decades for someone to step up and restore their vibrancy and soul.
I bet you could find a person to fill that role in any of these tertiary markets.
My God, yeah.
You are uniquely qualified to be the developer in your community because you have all of the local insights and knowledge that you need to get it done.
And Kristi's creating the pathway for them.
You see how I'm getting excited?
We have over 19,500 cities with permitting departments in the U.S. Over 75% of those have populations of less than 10,000 people.
Kristi believes in empowering ordinary people.
You can flip a house. You can do a commercial project.
To invest in their communities by redeveloping overlooked buildings.
Even my chiropractor, he's like, wait, you seem like you're semi-retired right now. How did this happen?
Becoming business owners.
You could business hack your commercial property and you could skip residential altogether and you could own your own commercial building.
Supporting local businesses.
That's why real estate is so hyper-local in the first place. And the smaller the town gets, the more important that gets.
Thereby keeping money within the community.
You take that same person who flips a property and have them buy that commercial building. Now you're changing a whole community.
And enabling local governments to enhance public infrastructure.
Everyone in your community actually will help you do the project. Your local people who've made their money, wait, you guys are the young bucks with energy willing to do this? I'm going to give you a couple $100,000 to fund that deal.
That's what got me so excited.
Development is just kind of sexy. There's a draw to it. I'd never call myself a developer because I did one project.
Oh, but you want to so bad.
It's not for everyone, but what we want to do is remove the gatekeeping. Make it to where you don't accidentally get into development. Make it to where you purposefully get into it.
Kristi Kandel, I'm so excited to have you here. Welcome.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey, if you're new to commercial real estate investing, you probably know the feeling. Brokers, underwriting, raising capital, where do you even begin? And that's why CRE Investor Coach exists, to give new and emerging investors a clear step-by-step path to closing their first deal. I believe in this program so much, I actually joined the team as an adjunct faculty member. That's how committed I am to helping more people get into the space right now. Whether you want to go at your own pace with on-demand training, launch your first investment with expert coaching, or scale with a mastermind of other ambitious investors, there's a roadmap here for you. Inside, you'll learn how to define your investor identity, analyze deals with confidence, talk to brokers like a pro, raise capital, and build a real acquisition pipeline without all the guesswork. This is about building a business that blesses your life, not breaks your spirit. So if you're ready to stop spinning your wheels and actually get in the game, check out the link in the show notes and start your journey today. Learn, launch, and scale with CRE Investor Coach.
Welcome to Commercially Speaking. I'm Timmy Barron, ADHD.
And I'm Bo Barron, CCIM.
And this is the Commercial Real Estate Investing Podcast where my brother Bo teaches me everything about commercial real estate. I'm just an actor, comedian. I do a lot of other things too, like Tisby, all disc, no balls. And Bo is just, 20 years experience in commercial real estate?
21.
21, baby. Yeah, you can legally drink as a commercial real estate professional now.
That's true.
I don't know if that's what that means.
I'm officially an adult in the industry.
That's right. You're a CCIM instructor as well. Where did you just spoke at in Detroit? Oh,
as we record, I'll be there on Thursday. This is the first time I've ever spoken in a major sports arena.
Yeah.
So I get to speak at a CCIM Michigan event in Comerica Park where the Dodgers, or not the Dodgers, the
Lions.
Tigers play.
Oh, the Tigers.
The
Yeah.
Tigers play. So sorry, I just said the Dodgers. I can't believe that. I'm not even a Dodgers fan.
Ooh.
But Maddie, my daughter, is pretty excited about this because Javi Baez plays for the Tigers.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And of course, my daughter, Kristi, if you probably don't know, I don't know why you know, but she's a huge Cubs fan. I mean, huge Cubs fan. She's 15. She's a sophomore in high school. Just got her permit. She's a good driver, by the way.
That's great.
I'm so pleased.
Yeah.
But she loves, and that team that won in 20. No, when did the
Cubs?
When did the Cubs win? Was it 2016?
2016, yeah.
2016. Like, she knows everything about those players. She loved Chris Bryant, Javi Baez, Contreras, all those guys.
That's a good
so
team.
she still kind of follows them, and Baez is hitting over 300. Kind of had a resurgence.
Nice.
And yeah, so I'm going to get to head to Detroit and speak with Bob Knackel
That's so cool.
and Adam Palmer.
I don't know if I know
CCIM.
him.
Adam Palmer is the global president of the CCIM Institute next year.
He sounds like a delicious drink.
Adam, yeah.
Adam
No,
Palmer.
That'd be Arnie.
No, Arnold Palmer. Yeah, that's right. And I got to say, I looked Kristi up today because you're the one who books all these. Alice is the one who books all these, but she, from you. And so I typically don't know who we're talking to at all. And I looked her up, and I got super excited about this one. So Kristi Kandel is a leading real estate developer with over 20 years of experience. Developer with nearly 20 years of experience, specializing in public-private partnerships that transform overlooked properties into thriving community spaces, empowering communities nationwide. Goodness gracious. She grew up in a small farming town in Ohio, and over the years has called many small towns across the country home. What Kristi learned is that every community has its own unique charm, something only locals truly understand. Yet, so many of these towns have been waiting decades for someone to step up and restore their vibrancy and soul. Do you see how I'm getting excited? I love it. Kristi believes in empowering ordinary people to invest in their communities by redeveloping overlooked buildings, becoming business owners, and supporting local businesses, thereby keeping money within the community because of, of course, non-basic jobs, right? Circulate dollars.
That's correct.
I'm adding that there. And enabling local governments to enhance public infrastructure. There's more to it, but that's what got me so excited. Kristi Kandel, I'm so excited to have you here. Welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you want to ask your typical opening question?
Will you start off giving us like a 5-minute origin story, just kind of where you began and what led you into what you do now?
Sure. So like you said, I grew up in a small town in Ohio, somewhere between 800 to 2,000 people. And I realized after college that I wanted to live either North Carolina, Florida, or California. So I ended up picking Florida as my first stop. And it just so happened that my first job was working for an exterior sign company. So we were putting up signs for CVS Pharmacy.
Oh.
And having grown up in my small town, we didn't have a lot of money. So owning a house that we lived in wasn't really like a thought. It wasn't like people like us didn't own houses, let alone develop communities. So as we're putting up these signs for CVS Pharmacy, and I'm realizing they're also building the shopping centers and the other uses around it, I'm like, wait, this is how our communities are formed? And I got to know the different developers working with CVS over that year. And eventually asked one of the main developers one day, I looked up at Eric and I'm like, hey, Eric, what's it take to be a developer? And I thought he was going to say, go to college, get this degree, do this certification.
Right.
And he said, well, for us, we're a small company in Clearwater, Florida. They have 20 to 30 employees at the time. He's like, you have to be the right person and we'll teach you the industry. My eyes opened real wide. I got a big old grin and I'm like, cool. When do I start?
Nice.
And because I had already been working with them for a year and a half at that point, they knew my work ethic. So I started working with them 3 weeks later. And that was in 2009. So right as the industry is crashing across the board, everyone's tightening up. And they worked for retailers, national retailers like CVS Pharmacy, Chase Bank, Publix, and Family Dollar. And mostly worked in Florida, Alabama, and Georgia. And it was about 2 weeks into working with them that I get a call. And 2 of the guys in my company are in California. And they're like, hey, Family Dollar wants to open locations in California. They had nothing there yet. and they want us to be the developer. Can you do the landscape and the sign code research as part of our overall market due diligence? I'm like, yep, I sure can. So by day, I would work on the East Coast projects. By night, I would help with the West Coast because I knew that if I got the chance to go to California, it would open a ton of doors. And I didn't know what doors and what opportunities. I just knew that nobody in my company had developed in California yet. And if I were to go, it would create tremendous opportunity. So somehow I talked them in. I was the only one not married with multiple kids. So I was like, hey, I'm the lowest risk, guys. I should be the one to go. And once it works, then you guys can all come out. So I did talk them into that. And I think it was in June of 2010 that I officially moved out to Huntington Beach. And for the next 4 years, I developed Family Dollars, 30 of them a year from San Francisco to San Diego.
Wow.
But actually, if you know California, it was actually the Central Valley down to Calexico. So like the whole interior part of California. So from the time the real estate guys got the dirt under contract, I came in and did due diligence, found the architects, engineers, all the consultants, did the entitlements and the zoning. So I presented to the city council and planning commissions, did the permitting, and even did the construction management. So I'm a kid in my early to mid 20s at this point, and everyone I'm working with is 20 to 30 years older than me. So
wow.
And probably male.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yes. I did, thankfully, there was a couple of women who were 20 to 30 years in that were mentors to me, as well as I had a couple great civil engineer and a contractor who were incredible mentors to me. And yeah, because that was a whirlwind. That was 60 to 80-hour weeks, crazy experience. But one day, Vasanti looked at me, one of my mentors, and she said, Kristi, over the past 4 years, you've gotten a career's worth of experience in real estate development. I'm like, what? Because I've always been an entrepreneur. But instead of taking the leap and starting my own business then, I was like, well, but these are only single tenant developments, 1 to 2 acres. Shopping centers have to be more industrial, has to be more residential. So I started working with a developer in Newport Beach, and he did all of that. And it took me all of 3 months to figure out, it's all the same process. You just get more time and more money the bigger the project is because everyone knows it's more complex. So I was like, all right, I got to bet on myself. So 2015, I started my own company, development and consulting. That way I could bring in the consulting dollars early while building out, because development projects can take 2 to 5 years. And so started my company in 2015. We're 10 years later now. Lots of evolutions in between. Ended up hiring, basically, if you played beach volleyball with me or grew up with me in my small town of Ohio, you probably work with me.
Yeah.
Why make strangers come along and be successful with you? I'm a big fan of setting proper expectations and bringing on people that you know and trust who want to go as a team and build it forward. So yeah, the past 10 years were incredible. And we ended up partnering with a company, and we were building hydrogen fueling stations throughout California for light duty and heavy duty cars. Basically became their development arm. At the same time, working on affordable housing, working with Coffee Bean and Tea Leaf on different rollout programs, Chick-fil-A. So kind of working on with all the retailers still. And then I got to the point and this is how I met Bo and strategic coach, but I got to the point where I created this self-managing company. And
you can't just say that to Timmy.
Yeah, what's self-managing company?
Yeah, you gotta at least explain to him what it is. It's what I have here with Barron Commercial Group.
Oh, you don't have to do anything. It runs on its own. I got it.
Sort of.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, it grows without me.
Aha. Right. Yes. Okay.
Not completely without me, but almost completely without me.
Right.
You've empowered your team to step up and elevate them, and you'll still handle the things that people can't. But it's really inspiring to go, oh, like this show's running itself, which is great because by this point I'm almost 20 years into having done this. And to be honest, it gets kind of boring. And it's like, I don't want to build another shopping center, another station, it's just, I'm a little bored. So through that, it almost got me to the point where some people sell their company and they have this big crash of like, what's my purpose? What's my why? I got to the self-managing company part and was like, and I have the house on the island with the boats and it's like, this is great, but what's my bigger purpose? What's my bigger why? So thankfully, I got the chance while having a very successful company to dig deeper and go, what would I do even if I never got paid for it?
Mm.
And then that's where my favorite company and what we're working on now, because it can have such great impact, was born. And it started as the Freedom Hacker movement to teach people how to get the same freedom I had of time, money, purpose, and relationships. But then I realized you can't go wide and shallow. You have to go deep on a specific niche. And I'm like, wait, I've been a developer for almost 20 years. And one thing I've noticed is that we do a great job of developing our primary and our secondary markets, but our tertiary markets, our small towns, have kind of been left behind.
Mm.
And the big guys don't know enough about a community to know, would this project work?
Mm.
And there's no reason that someone in their small town who can flip a house, there's no reason you couldn't then buy that commercial building or that vacant lot and turn it into something, because you also know what your community is missing and needs. So,
Right.
so Local Real Estate Developers was born out of that. And, I think we have over 19,500 cities with permitting departments in the U.S.
Ooh.
Over 75% of those have populations of less than 10,000 people.
Wow.
If you can flip a house, you can do a commercial project in your community.
We live in one of those small towns. Like we almost have 100,000 people here, but like in the city, there's probably 60,000 ish. And so we get we are tertiary. We get what that means.
Yeah.
But when you were talking just then, it reminded me, we had Krispy Kreme come to town and they failed.
Ooh.
It's one of the only Krispy Kremes that I've ever seen fail. And the reason they failed is they didn't understand Owensboro.
Mm-hmm.
Owensboro has two things that made Krispy Kreme fail. Do you know what they are?
It definitely wasn't our mom. She loved Krispy Kreme.
No. There's a Chipotle in the Krispy Kreme that was the Krispy Kreme.
Right.
But
no, should I guess?
Yeah, I'm asking you to guess.
Okay, two things that made Krispy Kreme fail in Owensboro.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, I'm thinking of all the reasons they wouldn't have failed. I should know, maybe. I don't.
Well, the first is a company called the Rolling Pin.
Oh yes, the Rolling Pin. Mm-hmm.
Rolling Pin, Kristi, is the local generational. Everybody loves it and is loyal to it. It's the local donut shop, and it's basically in an industrial part of town. Like it makes no sense where it is. It's that it has been there forever.
Yep.
And we all have taken our kids there.
Everybody
we were
goes.
taken there when we were kids.
Yep.
You stand in a line outside.
Every event at church that had donuts, every Sunday morning there was a Rolling Pin thing of donuts.
And that's the second thing.
Ah.
How many churches are out on the south side of town where Krispy Kreme went?
Oh, so many.
Almost none.
Oh, where Krispy Kreme was. Gotcha.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
And so
Oh.
in this town, people's route to church,
Fascinating.
for many people,
Mm-hmm.
it has been dug in past the Rolling Pin,
Yeah.
especially on Sundays, and nobody drives by Krispy Kreme. So when they threw out that whole like warm donut sign,
Yeah.
like nobody was looking,
Right.
even though it was a hard lighted quarter, top 5 hard lighted corner, like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean when I say hard lighted corner?
Yeah. The street lights there. You got street lights.
Yeah, you got the stop sign,
Yeah,
you
stop
got
sign.
4-way, it's
Yeah.
a main over all kinds of, but on Sundays, and they just failed.
Wow.
And if they would have spent one day in town, they probably could have figured that out.
Right.
Or one weekend, maybe.
That's fascinating.
But that's kind of what Kristi's talking about. I think, not to put words in your mouth, is that local understanding of the market.
Right.
That's why real estate is so hyper local in the first place. And the smaller the town gets, the more important that gets.
Right. Yeah. So tell me a little bit more, because so what you are doing now is you're helping empower people to do this in their communities, or even it sounds like to give a bit of motivation or education to people to let them understand that it can be done and you can do this, because there are all these thoughts of like, this is so insurmountable. Like so many people, think that way with this industry that seems so tightly closed or tight knit, or you need to go through. Right? Go ahead.
Yeah. No, that's exactly it. And I've been in this for so long, but I realized that nobody else thinks that they can do it. So flipping a house, you can kind of mark down, here's exactly what I do. Here's the steps A to Z. Development is totally different. It's you're going to work on multiple things at one time, come back with the information, evaluate it, figure out how you need to tweak and modify your deal if you still have one, and then go back out and do more things and come back. So you're constantly iterating, and the project you start with is not the project you finish with. And so because of that, it is more complex and it does take more time. But the cool part is you get more qualified professionals that you're working with. So instead of your handyman, you get a full licensed contractor. And instead of taking a designer or someone on Upwork and trying to draw up what it should be, you get a full architect. And the project numbers justify that for that to happen. But yeah, the whole thought is that the industry is gatekept, and if we provide education, so we put out a ton of free content on social media, which I used to be invisible before, and now I'm like, oh great, now I get to go from being invisible to going, hi, I'm here.
Yep.
But just sharing it and normalizing it. So in order to kind of build up to the overall plan, I created, and a lot of this was training material for my employees, but created a blueprint course that it's the $100 version that if someone's just curious, like, what does development even mean? What does it take? They could take that and then go, okay, that's cool. I don't want to do it. Or, oh yeah, I'm curious. Then we have a masterclass, a 90-day intensive. And then people who finish that were like, wait, but I want someone kind of helping me throughout my whole project. So then we have a mentorship program. So the local is the person leading it, driving it, but they get city comments back they don't know how to handle, or they're not sure about this architect proposal and they thought they had the whole proposal, and then another one comes in for $25,000 saying, wait, here's the next step, but helping them evaluate that or dealing with contractors.
Yeah.
So we have those, but the bigger, and we have a community that we started within the school platform, the Alex Hormozy school platform.
Yeah.
But the bigger idea and where we're going with this is we want to be the platform where anyone interested in development comes, to where they can talk about their deals, they can share what's going on, they can have contact architects, lenders, brokers, contractors, but kind of be the YouTube for creators, the Airbnb for houses, the Uber for cars. If you're into real estate investing, you know Bigger Pockets. So if you want to do smaller real estate investing, you know you're going to Bigger Pockets. That's where all your education is. So we want to be that platform so we can then share resources. Because there's a lot, what I've found in talking to a lot of people across the country is that everyone's trying to solve this in their own fragmented section and market. And I want to create the cohesive network to where here's where we go and come together.
Yeah,
so
that's so cool.
Our latest one that's kind of pulling it all together is now we're launching the Local Real Estate Developer podcast starting in May 13th.
Yeah.
So we'll be sharing the stories of local developers to help normalize this in the industry.
That's great. I was actually just about to ask that. They're like flipping houses is kind of cool. You know, there's like there's what reality TV shows about it. You know, people like, it's like, oh, I'm going to flip houses. This is cool. A lot of what you mentioned are things that people, but when it comes to developing, I don't know. It's just not out there where it's like, oh, I would love to be a developer. Right. But it sounds like by doing the podcast and normalizing it, or, you know, there's some steps here it sounds like you're taking to put that out there in the zeitgeist, get people like, oh, I can, what is this? Oh, I can do this.
Can I ask you a question real quick, Timmy?
Yeah.
Define zeitgeist for me. I think I know what that means when people use that word, but I always second guess myself. So
yeah, I think, well, in the way I use it, and I hope I'm right.
Well, Kristi can tell us.
Yeah, it's like just putting it out there in the world. Right? You're saying it, you're like wanting it to be manifest as real. You're putting it out there. Like in the ether, if I were to put it out in the ether, it wouldn't be seen or heard by anybody. It's just kind of out there in the ether. Put it out in the zeitgeist, it's going to where the people are connected. Oh, you've got it.
Here's the definition.
Okay,
the defining spirit or mood of a particular period of history as shown by the ideas and beliefs of the time.
Ah. Yes. Okay. So put almost like the culture, you could say, would be the
spirit of the times.
Spirit of the times.
German term that describes the dominant ideas, beliefs, and cultural attitudes that characterize a particular period of history.
Yeah. So development, or people's interest in development, isn't really a spirit of the times right now.
Well, it could be though,
It
because
could
if we
be.
think
I know
about
it's
the
becoming that
Main
way.
Street, the Main Street over Wall Street movement. So whether it's owning the businesses or developing the properties that the businesses are in, we're in a huge let's push towards Main Street.
Yes, you're right.
All right. So profile for me the person who you're trying to connect with through what you're doing. Like who describe them for me.
I would say there's two types. There's the real estate investor who, whether they are a flipper, do short-term rentals, long-term rentals, and they realized, wait, this is great. It's probably a hustle I'm doing on top of my W-2, and it's not getting me free of my W-2. And it's not creating the different path that I thought I was going to have when I got into it. Or they've already created that flipping business and realized if I don't flip another house, I'm done.
Yeah.
And so it gives them that next step because let's say flipping is, 30, 60 days, super tight frame to get it all done and sold. Development is this exact amount of work, only it's over 18 to 36 months, depending on, especially in smaller towns. So you can actually, and you probably should, work your W-2 while doing your first deal and maybe your first couple, because you can do them concurrently. And there will be some times when you're in due diligence or you're in deep phases of the project where it is very time consuming, but then there will be times where you're waiting 30 days for comments or for bids to come back. So that would be one. The next would be your empty nesters. We're finding a lot of people who have finished their first career, really understand their community, have a nest egg build up, and they go, you know what? I want to take this building and I want to do something with it. I want to make a difference in my town. And they want to create those spaces and they have the ability, capacity, and time to do it. And then the next one where they're so close is that you're already involved in development. You're the architect, the engineer, the contractor, the lender, the broker. You're so close, you play a part in it. And it's, do you want to put that owner hat on? And so it's those that we're seeing get in it. Flippers are probably the closest to take the leap and go. Short-term rental owners, kind of the same way because you're already running a business on top of the real estate.
If somebody clicked on this episode because they saw, I don't know what the title will be, but like you could be a developer. What do you say?
So basically, we like to say that you are uniquely qualified to be the developer in your community because you live there, you work there, you play there, you know the people, you're the local. You have all of the local insights and knowledge that you need to get it done. In your smaller towns, your city managers, instead of like in most cities that I've worked in the primary and secondary markets, you're fighting the cities. In your smaller towns, we held workshops up in Michigan with MEDC, Michigan Economic Development Corporation, and the cities of Hancock and Houghton. We held workshops with them, with their community, and we had 50 plus people attend each one for emerging developers. But we had the city officials come up and we said, at what point in the process should the community engage you? They're like, right away, early and often, before you even have a project, come sit down and talk to us. If you say, I want to build this building and turn it, or I want to take this building and turn it into this, we'll tell you right away. The city manager at Houghton said, we'll tell you right away if you have an ugly baby or not.
Yeah.
And it's, will this project work or not? They want to work with you. They're not even going to charge you for that. So what you find in the smaller towns is it's more so a gap of knowledge than a want to do something. Everyone in your community actually will help you do the project. And we've seen enough of the small town projects that are going on that they will partner with you to make it happen. So really it's more so just empowering the local to be able to say, okay, this feels like a little bit riskier. This feels like fear, but embrace the fear and do it anyway, because that's the purpose of life, is to get out there.
Right. So I'm a person, I'm interested. How do I know that my community is ripe for development? Like everything you're saying sounds awesome. It sounds like, oh, this would be great for the community. Bringing, dollar bills in, more dollar bills circulating or whatever. Like, how do I know that my community, would benefit from this or is ripe for this opportunity?
Okay.
Or
to
phrase that another way.
Bo's good at rephrasing my questions.
How would they know that there's the demand for a development?
And that's where I turn it right back on them and say, okay, what do you want to do in your town that isn't there yet? What places do you want to eat at? What things do you want to have as activities? What businesses do you know that are starting and they're expanding outside of theirs? That's where it's, you know your market. So for example, Lynn, who I brought in as a co-founder of Local Developer, she's a marketing guru and knows all that jargon. But they were actively taking on a project in their community. And she's like, we want to buy this beach club. It's along the water. It's a great location. It's a halfway done restaurant. And I'm like, restaurant's scary. And your town, it looks so small. Like everything I could find from afar looked like a small town. Possibly, I'm from the Midwest, so we have a lot of dying towns. I was very worried for them. And I was like, I don't know. I went up and I did a 2-day tour. She set up meetings with city managers, city council, lenders, contractors, the small business incubator. We did site walks. We met with everyone. By the end of it, I realized, like, even in their town, they're building rockets that go to space. They have startups that their employees come in and they don't have housing. And when we tried to grab lunch, there was nowhere to get lunch on a Monday. Absolutely nowhere. So through that, I went, whoa, first of all, you don't have a dying community. You actually have climate refugees and small and business startups and things that are growing, and you don't have enough beds. You don't have enough fun places to live, work, and play.
Yeah.
So that's where that's where if you go in a place that you know well, then that'll happen. In everything that they've opened so far, they created taka saunas, where the Finnish culture up in the UP is heavily into saunas and cold plunging. So they built a facility for that. And next to it, they built Small Craft Brewery as phase 2. And then they have a third phase, which is the event center opening up. And they have been packed since day one because the locals want to support the locals, and they created spaces that the locals actually want to use.
Right. Yeah. So here is like one thing we don't have is like rock climbing, right? Like a little rock climbing thing here.
There's been a guy that's been trying to do that here for a long time.
Oh, yeah?
Not a long time, number of years.
Yeah.
Where is he out of? Bowling Green or Evansville or something. But
yeah, he's trying to get that done.
That'd be fun.
Yeah. Well, what's holding him back? Or what's the
cost of building the building with that kind of height is prohibitive. And so if he can find the building with the ceilings high enough and retrofit it, then he can make it work. And we just hadn't found that building.
Right.
The problem with Owensboro, and we've talked about this before, or a challenge with Owensboro, I should say, is that we just have a very small industrial footprint. We're not a good logistical hub. The highways into here. We're not on an interstate that passes us by.
Right.
So you have to go here on purpose.
Yeah.
So we don't have that much industrial. And so it's just a challenge when you have somebody with a unique need to find that building.
Right. So
that's why it hasn't happened yet.
Gotcha. What would you say in that situation there, Kristi? Or like where is he not looking? Or are you telling me that, I'm sorry, Kristi, are you telling me, Bo, that he can't build a building that high? He'd have to find one already that's that tall?
It's cost prohibitive for him to build it.
So
it costs too much for him to make it work.
I see.
To build it. Yeah. Now, if you can buy something and retrofit it, like it's already got the ceiling height that he needs, then he could make it work.
I see. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, Kristi, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say that's one of the challenges of, especially in the past couple of years, we have underwritten tons of projects, and it's very hard for anything to pencil right now with where costs are. But with AI, with automation, construction in general is a very, very old industry that has not been disrupted. And I think it is prime for changes that'll happen. So it might be it's not ready right now. So if you don't have, and I would say an existing building, retrofit it all day long. If you don't have that, then my mind would go to, is there a modular option that could work? And maybe that cuts the cost down. And if not, maybe it's just a yes, but not right now. Maybe and development is like, there's a bunch of projects that I've got that are in progress, but it could be an 8-year in progress because you need to wait 5 years for market conditions to get where they need to be, and then 3 years to actually develop it and build it out. So that's where the patience comes in. And that's where I jokingly say that's why I got so good at sports, is that taught me patience. So I became really good at snowboarding and volleyball and other things.
Yeah. I don't know if you'd be good at Tisby, but we'll see.
Challenge accepted.
Yeah.
Okay. I hear you.
I'm in the process right now. So every 2 years, I've said I want to get really good at a new sport. So pickleball is the current sport.
Nice.
And while I just spent 4 months up in St. Pete, I was on the courts playing one morning, and you put your paddles in, so whoever's up next gets on the court.
Yeah.
And these older ladies look at me one time, and they're like, could you maybe not play this game so it could be a little more competitive?
Whoa.
I'm like, yes, of course, because in beach volleyball, if you're playing doubles, like you want it to be at least competitive. And I know I'm not that good yet. So I'm like, of course, go play. And while they're playing, I go on Facebook and I start posting in all the pickleball forums. I need a coach. I need you to do 2 lessons a week. And
Wait a second. This went the opposite way that I thought. I thought they were asking you not to play because you were so much better than them.
No.
It was the other way.
Not.
No, she started. There's her
worse.
starting pickleball.
They would have kicked my butt.
I gotcha.
Right. This is
okay.
And that was the fuel that got her to look for a coach.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Full circle. A month later, my coach sent me a text because that's up in St. Pete and I'm down in Fort Myers Beach. He's like, so people watched us playing because our very last session we played games and then he coached me during the games. He's like, look at this. And people were asking him for my numbers so they could get me to play on their teams when they go play pickup. I'm like, yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm still not that great yet, but that's progress. I'll take that win.
Oh, that's fantastic.
I have never played pickleball.
Oh.
Not once. But we just built a house and we built a basketball court that is big enough. Like we designed it half court basketball and pickleball because my kids play pickleball. So
that's
maybe
awesome.
one day.
So
It's very much like beach volleyball to where it's a chess match, a poker game, and you've got some physicalness to it to where you could actually mentally beat someone. And I like that part of it too.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, that's really cool. I thought you were going to say your coach after a month, your coach gave you a call up and was like, hey, I was wondering, would you coach me now? Yeah. Yeah, you just seem like somebody who just gets so good at something so quickly, which you are obviously, but anyway.
Well, I have a couple questions. Like if you're going to list off things you need to be true about a person for them to be a good developer, what are some of the qualities or characteristics? And the reason I ask that is I tried to be a developer. And I built on to one of our self-storage facilities. I did one project and I hated it. Like it's not a good fit for me. I don't think I have the risk profile for it, but I don't have the patience that she was talking about. And I want when we were brokering deals, they can take a long time, but like our part of it is, it's fairly compressed. And as an owner and an operator, that's an ongoing normal thing. You can systematize it. You can automate a lot of it. Yeah. And then you just try to serve your tenants and make them happy, so that they can be as successful as possible and continue to pay the rent, renew, and all that stuff. So like all that makes sense for me. But developers, there were so many variables that I didn't feel like I could anticipate. Yeah. But I only tried it the one time. And our dad's a developer. Like I saw my dad building stuff our entire life. Right. But so what are some of the, because look, man, there is what's the word? Development's just kind of sexy. You know what I mean? Like there's a draw to it, I think. And, but I've yet to really be able to get there. Like I'd never call myself a developer because I did one project. Right. There's so much brain damage.
Oh, but you want to so bad. Oh, you want to so bad. Oh.
Maybe partner with a developer. That's different. But,
you sound like Jason Sudeikis when he used to say, oh, yeah, SNL, pff, yeah, whatever, because he thought he would never get on it. He's like, yeah, no, I'm happy doing what I'm doing at Second City. Yeah. And then he got auditioned and accepted. He's like, yeah, okay.
but look, for this person who's listening out there and because like, are there degrees? You don't go get a college degree to be a developer. And unless you know somebody in the industry, you really don't ever see what it's like. Just like your story, like you happen to be working tangentially with developers. Right. You built relationships with them and you saw what they did. And then you just asked the question, like, how do I do this? And they said, well, if you're the right person, we'll teach you how. And you're like, done, I'm in, So like, what Well, back to my original question. What qualities, characteristics do you think somebody needs to be a developer?
You nailed it with the risk being the first one. You have to have a risk tolerance that, and I make very calculated, I take very calculated risks. But you have to be willing to know that there is a ton of uncertainty along the way. And then that's where, if you're a good problem solver, because development is all about getting the next obstacle, the next challenge, and going, how do we overcome this so we can keep moving forward? Whether it's the seller throwing you a curveball or something environmental during due diligence, or the city coming up saying, no, you don't meet the setback requirements, so you can't get your square footage to what you need, and it blows the project up. Like probably 3 or 4 times throughout a development project, it will blow up and it looks like it's dead and it's not happening.
Yep.
But
Exciting.
honestly, because the projects take so long and there's so many facets to it, if you have the time and the money, that's pretty much what it takes. If you have the time and the money, you can eventually do the project, whether it's waiting for market conditions or other things to play out. So it's really having the right risk tolerance to do development, being a good problem solver, and being able to multitask and stay organized, because you've got 10,000 balls in the air at some time. So you have to be very organized, which is why I ended up building our development project management software. So that way my team could know what was happening along the way.
Yeah.
But then also your why has to be strong enough, because it will drag out for 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 years. So as you're going through, your why has to be strong enough for why you want this project done in the first place. And that's where I really lean into. I'm not into building another shopping center anymore. Can I do it? Yes, but it'll just be, very mundane to me. But if we're doing a project that a community really needs, and we know that when it's done, it's going to be this great asset, that gets you through the hardest, most challenging moments. And then I also I'll say that a development project is like a chess match, a poker game, and a detective, and you get to wear all the hats to figure out all the pieces. So if you like a good challenge, then development's for you. And it's not for everyone, but what we want to do is move the gatekeeping, make it to where you don't accidentally get into development, make it to where you purposefully get into it. And to be honest, I've worked with enough cities, and I've dropped in the national tenant who, great, we created 5 jobs. Well, then once they got into operations, they completely just treated the employees like crap. They didn't care about the community. They ran the grocery store or the pharmacy out of town. And afterwards, actually, the community was worse off for it.
Yeah.
Whereas if it's that locally owned and operated business, they care about the community. They care about the employees. They care about the people. They care about the reputation. And it just creates a better community.
Yeah.
Would it be true to say that
I love it.
Development's not for everybody, but every community has a developer?
Needs one.
Needs one, yeah. But like I bet you could find a person to fill that role in any of these tertiary markets.
My God, yeah. I mean, I've got a couple friends in my head right now when you explain that. And
Kristi's creating the pathway for them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's so cool. So
any,
cool.
Everybody else can be
business
brokers.
owner who's looking to expand their building, or even my chiropractor, he's like, wait, you seem like you're semi-retired right now. How did this happen? And I'm like, well, I invest in real estate, and so I keep some of them, and I have, the cash flow from that. And he's like, tell me more. And I told him, I said, I'll tell you some of the real estate investing, so 1 to 4 units. But I said, you are a chiropractor. You currently lease space. If there was a building that made sense, that had multi-tenants in it, so you could lease one space and you could lease out the other couple spaces to other people, and let's go with AI resistant or technology resistant. So let's go with more people in his space, a massage therapist, and go that route. Then you could house hack, or you could business hack your commercial property, and you could skip residential altogether, and you could own your own commercial building. Like that would be an easy pathway for that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right, I've got another question. How'd you meet Beth Azor?
By listening to your podcast.
Really?
Really?
Yes.
That sounds like I planted that. I did not plant that.
Oh, I love it. I love that.
I love that that's true.
Beth is amazing. I love that.
I heard her on your podcast and I was just like, oh my goodness, this is a woman I need to meet. First of all, we're just across Alligator Alley from each other.
Yeah.
But second of all, and we've met a couple times. She's actually on our local developer pod, so she'll be one of the first ones that releases.
I bet when you guys met for the first time, y'all felt like
kindred spirits,
absolute kindred spirits, like you were each other's spirit animals, however you want to say that. Because knowing both of you,
Yeah, very much so. You nailed it.
That would have been fun to see.
I have a feeling we'll be doing a lot more things together.
I believe that.
I can't wait to watch. I really, what you're embarking on, especially with the podcast and this community and this one-stop shop for anybody interested in development. I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but you know what I mean. Platform. Yes, of course. I can't wait to see what comes of this and how it grows and the amount of, I can just see the amount of lives that will be impacted by this and the amount of communities that will be impacted by this mission that you have. And yeah.
Well, just an example of that is so let's go to our flipper example. You have one person buying one house, flipping one house for one family. If you take that same person who flips a property and have them buy that commercial building, they're now maybe there's a couple multi-tenants on the bottom, a couple residential above, a typical downtown. And now they've created 3 different business locations that are going to create a handful of jobs each. And you've created beds for people to sleep in. So now maybe you've impacted, 30 to 50 people and 30 to 50 lives in that same process and that same thing. And now you've created that momentum and that ripple effect in your community because they go, wait, if it's not just the 2 guys who own the whole town and this person did it, maybe I can do that with this building over here. And now you're creating that ripple effect and that momentum. And now you're changing a whole community.
I've seen this happen. And there's actually a show on HGTV that my wife likes that kind of reminds me about this on the residential side. They renovate these houses but their why is they want to renovate the community.
Yeah.
So they want the whole community to just level up over time. And they've done so many, and there's a TV show about it, a house an episode kind of thing. But you could see what kind of an impact that could have over a long period of time. But there is a community in Kentucky called Stanford, Kentucky. And one guy, basically, not just one guy, but him and his company, they've bought a lot of downtown and renovated it and just brought it back to life.
Yeah.
And so you can go to downtown Stanford. It's this very small town, downtown feel, 1 or 2 streets with the buildings you're picturing in your head. But now there's a restaurant that's farm to table and all locally grown. And then there's, a business there. There's a soap shop across the street and a bank and the insurance place and all this. But there's a vibrancy there.
Yeah.
Basically because one man had a vision for it.
Right.
And was able to pull it off. And it'd be cool to see a resurrection of the small town downtowns.
Yeah.
Because
it'd be nice here.
Of a platform.
Right.
And we've seen that some here.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Quite a bit, actually, because of a lot of public-private partnerships, like you were mentioning at the beginning. And, you go back, I don't know how long it's been, 10, 12 years. Probably go back 15 years. Since then, we've got, and we're on a river, so we've got a new convention center. We've got a new bluegrass museum. We've got a couple new hotels.
Smothers Park, man. Woo!
We built a river wall and reclaimed 3 acres of dirt into the river. And Smothers Park was a small little park. But now it's
like...
It's not huge, but it's much bigger, and they spent a lot of money on it, and it's just full of kids and families all the time.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's just a really cool place to be. And so we've seen a lot of that here.
Yeah.
And what you'll find with that is everyone's like, oh, well, how much money can I make with it? And it's like, yes, you're going to make money, but I just hate putting that as the, make a bunch of money in development tagline. It's you're creating an impact in your community that is priceless. You're changing lives. You get to watch. You don't just say, hey, look, I did that building. It's, hey, look, this is the gathering spot on Saturday mornings where everyone grabs their coffee and walks across to the park and watches the kids play soccer. Like, you're creating experiences and memories, and I don't care what's happening politically in the world, left, right. When you're in a smaller community and you're doing that, nobody cares about that. They
Yeah.
care about their neighbor and their person. You're
Yep.
creating those connections and community and relationships. Like that's the part we're going after here is let's restore the soul of our communities from the inside out. Let's,
Yeah.
Main Street over Wall Street. Let's do this together. And
Yeah.
when you do that, then you get your local people who've made their money. And I've seen this too many times already where they go, wait, you guys are the young bucks with energy willing to do this. I'm going to give you a couple $100,000 to fund that deal. And
Yeah.
with development projects, you do have partnerships and you don't need to bring all the capital. And because they are long enough, your sweat equity means a lot more than just sweat equity in flipping a house. So you can get that without bringing money to the table. And there's plenty of people in your community who, if you're willing to put in the work and you have the right plan, they will help fund you.
Yeah.
You said something
So
earlier
true.
and you just described, I think, what you were talking about before, but you said earlier, your why has to be strong enough. And what you were just describing about creating memories and like togetherness and what you do on a
Community.
Saturday morning in that
Yeah.
community, a lot of times that's a big part of the why. But have you, Kristi, are you playing around? Probably, I would expect, but are you playing around a lot with the AI stuff
Oh,
these
yes.
days?
Oh, yes.
So you'll like this if you haven't done it already. In my strategic coach group now in Chicago, this fella gave me this idea. He actually created a custom GPT that will build for you a custom advisory board.
Huh.
Have I?
No, I
talked
don't
to you
think
about this
No,
yet?
no, no.
Okay. So you go into the custom GPT, and ChatGPT would do this anyway, but you basically give it your issue and ask it to create a virtual advisory board for you.
Huh.
And so for Hearthstone over the weekend,
Yeah.
I went to Pompano Beach, spent 2 nights at the condo,
Yeah.
and I was working on this idea of clarifying the why of Hearthstone Capital.
Yeah.
So I went into that custom GPT and I asked for its help, create for me an advisory board, and it gave me Simon Sinek, of course,
Yeah.
Warren Buffett,
Yeah.
and somebody else that I'd never heard of before, Don something or other. And they basically interviewed me and asked me questions about what we're trying to do, help me clarify the why of Hearthstone. And then an hour later, it was sitting there staring at me way better than I could have crafted myself.
Yeah.
And it's this idea of, using whatever AI platform as a thinking partner. And
Right.
what it did was it pulled out of me what I was trying to clarify.
Right.
And then based on all the things that Simon Sinek has written and spoken and Warren Buffett and all this stuff and whatever the other guy was, they were able to put it in a very concise,
Right.
I was like, oh, man, it was so helpful,
Yeah.
to be able to really clarify your why in doing whatever you're doing.
Right. Yeah.
And so whoever's listening out there, and if you've got
That
something
poor
you're
other
trying
guy.
to clarify, yeah. But like use an AI platform, one of these large language models, and ask them to help pull it out of you. And it was
Yeah.
super helpful.
It's so
That's
helpful.
something I've started using. So for local real estate developers, I have a whole project within ChatGPT. So everything goes in there. So that way it really gets to know local developers, myself, my tone, everything. And by, the different podcasts we have out there, basically any content we're putting out, dumping it in because I know AI is only going to get better.
Yeah.
But just like you, I did 2 of those one was a personal one. It said, based on everything you know about Kristi Kandel, what would her core values be? And both personally and professionally. And the way it took everything that I've ever put into it, I sent it to my sister and brother and I'm like, what do you think? I haven't even proofed this or edited yet. And they're like, oh my goodness, like that's you to a T. That's exactly what makes you tick and operate and what you're passionate about and what you're motivated by.
I had it help me with an email last week, and it was like, do you want me to add any more Timmyisms to it? Like these little, it gets my tone, my sense of humor a lot, which is crazy. A side note, since we're talking about AI, another thing with ChatGPT I found so helpful, especially for people who are hearing this and have not touched it yet or haven't figured out how to talk to it or whatever. I have found it so much easier to use it when I'm just acting like I'm talking to it rather than treating it like Google. So I'll say, hey, they're like, hi, how are you? Right? Like you get in a conversation and then, so just a little thing. If you have not done it yet, go to ChatGPT and just ask it how it's doing, and it'll ask you the same, and then it will move somewhere.
Be conversational.
Talk to it like a friend, and it will do the same back, and then you'll get, okay, well, just talk to it like your friend. I think it'll be, it's amazing.
So Kristi, I've joked that I do not use manners with Siri, like on my iPhone. Like I don't,
Siri does not deserve our respect.
Siri and I are in a constant fight, so no, she gets no.
Right. She's a bit of a...
Yeah. So ChatGPT, though, I'm very kind and polite to it. Mm-hmm. Probably because I think maybe it'll take over the world later and I want it to, remember that I was nice.
Yes.
But there was an article in the New York Times, I think, in the last week or two. Did you see this?
No, I didn't.
Did you, Kristi?
If you're talking about what Sam Altman said about it, yes.
Yeah, the please and thank you stuff that we put into ChatGPT is costing it millions of dollars a year in computing power. And I'm not stopping. I'm not going to. I mean, it's really costing it.
Right.
And I'd never thought about that before.
Oh, that's so funny.
Anyway.
Oh, that's so funny.
I died when I read that. I'm like, oh, okay.
I was like, I'm still going to be nice to ChatGPT. What was the other?
I'll give it compliments like nailed it or nah, try again, bro.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh man.
How have you navigated working with friends? You made a comment earlier about how like why hire strangers and bring them along when you could do it with people that you know, like, and trust, or because it's fraught with danger when you work with somebody. Like part of the conversation Timmy and I had when we started this podcast was, look, like we're tight and we're way tighter now.
Yeah.
Having done this.
Right.
But like it could go wrong.
Right.
And so there's risk there. How have you navigated working with your friends, essentially?
That's a good question.
You mentioned setting expectations. I'm sure that has a lot to do with it, but there's got to be more, or just go a little deeper than that.
Yeah. Yeah. So when actually my very first employee who started as a 1099 was a beach volleyball. She was the best beach volleyball player in Santa Monica, and I was the second best, and ended up bringing her in. But I'm always looking for, I'm very good at spotting who the right people and the right talent are and if they'll fit in a certain spot. And so I'm interviewing people in my head well in advance of me ever talking to them about partnering together, because I want to know the same thing that first developer told me. I want to know, are you the right person? Do you have the right ethics, morals, work habit? Like, are you the right person who I want in the trenches with me fighting? Because stuff will get hard and I want to make sure we're rowing in the same direction. So it's if they have those qualities. And then I remember sitting down in Jackie's house or apartment in Santa Monica after volleyball one day, and we were talking, what would this look like? What would this mean? Let's set expectations. Let's set clear parameters. But honestly, it comes down to any partnership or relationship. If you don't keep the lines of communication open, if you don't talk about the hard things, if you don't have those hard conversations or those direct or those pointed, then you're going to lose it and things will be bottled up. And you're not going to have the outcome that you want. And as you start to build that team around it, if you keep someone on who's the weak link, you're hurting everyone else. And I always took that to heart. But it's also being authentic and open and showing them that I'm vulnerable too, to be like, whoa, I totally messed that up. And Jackie and I, because we've worked together so long, we've had the most hard conversations to where it's an open door to be like, whoa, like that conversation, that interaction, that was not like, that did not go how either of us wanted. Let's talk about that. Let's clear the air and make sure we can go forward. So it's a lot of checking your ego, showing that you're vulnerable to and your authenticity to go, no, I am who I've always been and you guys are, and we know how to work in that dynamic. And even little things to where I'll do things a million miles an hour. So my intent is to quickly respond to someone on my team so they can keep going. And to them, sometimes it's received as, oh, that was a really short message back. Like, is she mad at me? Is that the wrong thing? Did she give me enough info? So once I started to realize, okay, these are the things, and sometimes I'll give direction and half of it's stuck in my head. So
Yeah.
immediately I will tell people, if I do not want you spending 4 to 8 hours spinning your wheels guessing what I was going for, if I didn't give you full info, then, come to me. So we have those, but then we also, over the years in different coaching programs, we implemented quarterly conversations. So that way, what's working, what's not working, what can we improve on? So there's not a once a year like, what's happening? We're always talking. And it doesn't mean it's always perfect, but we always come back in and go, okay, let's right the ship. And because we have been friends for so long, whether it's since kindergarten or since 2010, we're just able to have those conversations. And I mean, I've had family and friends not work out. I fired my brother. I fired my mom. I fired a college best friend. But in a way that it was, hey, we know this isn't working. And so it's being willing to have those tough conversations. And now anytime a tough conversation does come up and you go, oh, do I have to have this? And I go, ooh, I actually, anytime I get the butterflies, I smile because I go, I'm going to grow from this. So
Yeah, that's good.
then I go into it going, okay, life is not easy. It will never be easy.
Yeah.
So it's just understanding that, all right, let's go into each conversation and figure it out.
Yeah. It sound like you reframed what confrontation is in your head, right? It's a learning experience when you got to do that. I mean, it's so crazy how powerful that is. Well,
she also described keeping short accounts with people. That's really, have you ever heard that term before, Kristi?
No.
Yeah.
The idea of keeping short accounts is like you have that conversation, and the interaction just wasn't good. Somebody was having a bad day, the respect was low, whatever it is. And instead of letting that build up over 6 months, like the next day you come into the office, you keep short accounts. You're like, hey, look, that conversation yesterday really just didn't play out very well. Let's go ahead and talk about that. What was going on? Like, help me understand what was going on in your head when we were talking, and playing that out as opposed to letting things build up and build up and build up. And then there's an explosion and a ruined potential relationship, and things can go really bad. But if you keep short accounts, you're really honoring the other person by saying, hey, look, this is what I took from this. I'm not sure if that's exactly true, so help me understand what's going on. Let's work through this so that we can grow and we can get better and we can avoid, taking our relationship into a ditch.
Right. Yep.
And that goes into hiring the right person, because we've been a fully remote company, because for me, I always wanted autonomy. So technically you kind of avoid it and be like, I don't have to see them in the office. Maybe it'll go away, but it's making sure you're hiring the right people, that neither of you let it slide. That no matter who it is, and it's not always me, it's not always them who reach out, but everyone feels comfortable enough to go, nope, that wasn't clicking. Let's talk. And then we will resolve it. And I used to be such the solo person, like, let me just do it alone. And that way it gets done. I don't have to deal with all this other stuff. And I just realized over the years, it's so much more fun to do things with partners and with friends. You just have to keep the communication lines open.
Yep.
Yeah. Do you have a virtual assistant?
I actually have a physical assistant. I've had many virtual assistants. I have my executive assistant is also from kindergarten, and a best friend. But he lives in Chicago. He does our property management, executive assistant work. He's like my right side of my body. So
nice.
he
You got one.
is that. But yes, we have different virtual assistants. That do our accounting and soon to be customer service. I'm looking to also acquire and partner with my electrician, bring in to help grow his business. So we'll be bringing in plenty.
Yeah. We talk about virtual assistants a lot since Bo got one. Yeah. Well, you've heard us talk about it. If you're a listener to the podcast, we say goodbye to Alice every single time. But yeah, if anybody listening wants one, you can go to superpowershq.com/commercially speaking.
I
That's right. Way to get
recommend
the plug
everyone
in there.
because of how much, like, Bo, you are the most authentic representation of it, to where if anyone goes, man, I need an executive assistant, I'm like, gotta go to Superpowers, and they have a little bit of a real estate specialty, but mostly working with entrepreneurs, which we are hard to work with. We are really hard to work with, and so the way they train the virtual assistants, I'm constantly referring like that.
Yeah,
well,
this is so good.
The best thing about what Superpowers did for me, beyond just pairing me up with Alice, is they taught me how to be led by my EA. maybe led's not the right word, managed.
Yeah.
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 Like I didn't know how to work well with an EA, and they helped me get there. And it was that was incredibly, Alice. It was incredibly helpful. That's what really I think unlocked all the benefits of the relationship I have with Alice.
Yeah. Alice
And
is
that's
here
where
right
I
now.
think thank you, Alice. But I think knowing Ryan since kindergarten, he knows the dynamics. He knows all the stuff from the past to where he's able to be like, girl, I got you on this. You stop it. Like, okay, yes, sir. So there's so many times I will defer to him because it's just like, you're right. Nope, you're right. I'm leaving you alone. I'm not stepping in your grill. Go for it.
Yeah, that's
You're
great.
going to do it better than me anyway.
That's great. Well, anything else you can think of?
Well, we could probably continue to talk for hours.
I
but
know.
I think we probably should start wrapping this up. But do you want to do a pop quiz?
Yeah!
Ignition sequence starts.
Yes, I do.
All right, Kristi, I know you listen to the show, so you kind of know how this works. But for the others, we're going to ask Timmy 5 questions. Kristi, as our guest, you're going to ask question 1, question 3, and question 5. They can be over anything that we've covered here today, or you can try to play Stump Timmy and just throw him a complete curveball. It's completely up to you. But we'll alternate the questions, and we'll see how he does. And he's got the brain fart ready.
I do. Here it is.
I love
Here
that.
It is.
Is it?
It's
There it
working.
is. Yeah, okay.
Yep. Okay.
Right. All right. Kristi, question 1.
What percentage of cities in the U.S. have a population of less than 10,000 people?
Oh my goodness, that's a great question. Percentage is less. Man.
And you can get within 10%.
Okay. 90, 80, 86%.
Oh, you're so close.
What was it?
It was 75%.
Oh no!
You were 11 off.
I was, Oh man.
Oh, man.
75%. Good question.
Although I bet if we did the real math, it would probably round up to at least 76, maybe 77. So
I'll take it. I'll take it.
Don't give him that.
Thank you, Kristi.
Okay. In that case, question 2.
Okay.
Metropolitan statistical areas are communities with over 50,000 people. What is the population range of a micropolitan statistical area? Which I don't think we've ever heard about. But since she gave you one that you actually missed, I'm throwing you a hard one.
Yeah, great. Okay.
So the population range of a micropolitan statistical area.
Yes, which I'm not sure exactly what a micropolitan statistical area is.
Well, it's an area that's smaller than a metropolitan statistical area that has 50,000 people or more.
Right. Oh, well, that'd be like 25,000 around.
Well, give me a range, because I'm asking for a range.
I'd say between 20 and 30,000.
No. It's between 10,000 and 50,000.
Oh, gosh. Duh. Right?
What do you mean, duh?
What's the 1 to 10?
Well, that would be the small
That's what
towns.
you're trying to that's what you're trying to define. Yeah, I don't know that they have a name. What you
the
have
left behind, the forgotten that we're going to reunite.
That's right. They're forgotten.
What you have are core-based statistical areas, CBSAs, and there's 2 types.
Okay.
There's metropolitan statistical areas, MSAs, which is what people normally refer to, and they're MSAs,
Right.
50,000 or more. There's also micropolitan statistical areas, which is a type of CBSA of 10 to 50.
Oh, okay. Yep. And then anything under that is the forgotten. The forgotten towns.
Yeah, we'll just call it the forgotten.
The forgotten.
I've got that. Yeah. The forgotten.
The Last of Us.
That's right. Season 2 going on now.
Oh, yeah. Are you watching
Max.
it? Are you
No,
watching it?
I'm not.
No. Oh, it's so good.
All right. Kristi, question 3.
So I mentioned earlier that every 2 years, I try to become really good at a new sport. What sport was it that someone at least 20 years older than me asked me not to play because I wasn't good enough?
Pickleball.
Ding, ding, ding.
Bam, bam. Hey, that was thank you. That was you threw
I
me
just have to, my ego has to keep taking that L, so I just work harder and get better.
Yes, that's right. That's right. Oh, I can't wait to kick your ass in Tisby.
I can't wait to learn your new sport.
Yeah, I can't wait.
They'll send you some links. They've got
Yes.
video tutorials and. All right, question 4.
There we go.
I asked Kristi what it takes to be a developer, and she listed off a number of characteristics, qualities.
Yes.
Name me 4
Sure.
that she mentioned.
Risk tolerance.
Okay,
Got to have the time and the money.
she did say that.
You
We'll
got to
just
have.
call that runway. We'll
Okay,
call that
runway.
Yep.
Runway. Runway. I don't know what's going on with my R's today. Problem solver.
Yep. One more.
Well, I'm thinking you got to have a strong why, but that's not really.
That was
This
another
one?
one she said. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Here's
Okay,
the
great.
full list of what she said. You got to have patience.
Patience.
All right, a certain amount of risk tolerance. Got to be a problem solver, a multitasker, organized. Your why has to be strong enough, and you have to love a challenge.
Yeah.
That was
Nice.
kind of her. And then, of course, the time and the money.
Right. Right.
Yep.
Okay. Cool.
Doesn't necessarily have to be all your money, though.
That's right. No, it doesn't. No.
All right, great.
Ding, ding.
Question 4, nicely done.
Ding ding.
Kristi, question 5.
What was one of our main purposes for starting the Local Real Estate Developer podcast?
Is this to show people the hard side of things, or is that the pessimist? Was that something else we were talking about?
I think that was the real estate pessimist.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Okay. Well, maybe this one, but I think it is to educate people of the how important it is for locals to be a part of the development in their town, more so than anybody just coming in like a Krispy Kreme and it falling apart when you could have had a Kristi Kreme and she would have known exactly where to put that donut shop.
Yes. And to add to that, it would be to share the stories, to normalize development to where it's not just the 1 or 2 people in town or
Yeah.
the big guys with all the money, that anybody can do it. Regular people can do it if you have enough hustle, drive, and you want to make it happen. So yeah, just
Yes.
to share the stories, remove the gatekeeping.
Absolutely. Well,
And another props to you guys. Guess who my co-host is?
Ooh.
A guest from your show.
is,
Who I
Is it
didn't know
Beth?
Is it
existed
Beth?
until I listened to your
is
show.
it Beth? Beth is your co-host?
No.
Oh,
He has podcast experience.
is it a
Has
recent?
started to dabble into development. Started his own brokerage recently.
Ooh, BK?
Bob Knackle?
No.
No?
No, but
And
Okay.
is about to have a tiny human.
who's about to have a
Oh,
baby?
Raphael?
Really?
Really?
Oh, that's a good pairing.
That is a really good.
Yeah.
Raphael.
Raphael.
Will,
Yes.
my son Will is about to shadow him after
awesome.
after he gets back after the baby.
Oh, that's
That is
great.
awesome.
Yeah. All right. Well,
I'm really excited about that.
I am
That's, He's been holding back on me.
hey,
Well,
you've
we
got.
I feel like I
initially
should have
met and
known
were-
this.
Yeah, we met and we were talking, and he said multiple times, he's like, you need to do a podcast. And I was just like, just getting to know him because I'm just collecting awesome people because eventually we'll be able to do something with this platform we're building. And I thought about it and I texted him a couple hours, like I think the next morning I was like, wait, you kept saying we should start a podcast. The reason I started the Real Estate Pessimist podcast is I had a co-host for that for real estate investing, but I didn't have a co-host for the Local Developer one yet.
Yeah.
I'm like, let's do it.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Raphael.
All right.
Good for you. Hey,
Yeah.
now look,
Shout out, Raph.
maybe we should create the Commercial Real Estate Podcast Network.
Yeah.
I think that needs to happen because there aren't that many, to be honest. So when I
Right.
hear, when you guys have someone on that touches my world that I go, oh no, we've got some synergy, like I want to talk to them. And we're doing the same with the local developer. Every local developer we're putting into our community, and once a year we want to do a meetup, and I'm sure it'll continue to grow from there. But if you've already got the change makers on the communities, let's build deeper connections, let's help each other and then make that go, because there are more than enough projects out there for everyone to have.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. I love it. I
Yeah,
love it.
and I think every good idea I've ever had has been on the back, is piggybacked off somebody else's great idea. Like
Yeah.
I generally don't have the genesis of the idea.
Right. Yeah.
It's the, oh, wait.
Yeah.
Like that is smart.
The iteration, yep.
And like,
Yep.
what if they just tweaked this? You
Yeah.
know? And like,
It's so true. It's so true.
yeah.
All right, Kristi, tell our listeners where can they listen to this podcast? How can they find this podcast and when it's coming out, and everywhere else that they can find you?
Yeah, so the Local Real Estate Developer podcast will be on all the platforms, and it will be called Local Real Estate Developer. So Spotify, Apple, YouTube. We'll post reels on Instagram and LinkedIn. And so that will be to more free stuff that we're putting out because we just want to remove the gatekeeping, remove the barriers, and help people get in. Same thing. All of this is Local Real Estate Developers on Instagram, on LinkedIn. You can Google my name if you can figure out how to spell it, and you'll find it out there. But yeah, anything Local Real Estate Developer is where it's at, and we just offer a ton of resources just to help people go, hey, are you curious? Are you there? Do you want to get in? And my favorite part of my day now is when I have the discovery calls and I'm talking to someone for the first time and I see their eyes light up and they go, oh my gosh, like I've always thought about this and I wanted to do this with this building. I didn't know that I could actually do it.
Oh,
and I might
yeah.
have 8 discovery calls in a day. And normally if you have 8 meetings set up, you're drained by the end. No, I'm flying so high. I'm running with my dog to the beach and she's like, yo, mom, I'm 15 and a half. Slow down.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I can imagine how exciting that is.
Yeah.
And
fueling
guess
it
what
is.
the website is?
LocalRealEstateDevelopment.com.
Yes. Developer.
Developer.
Local
And
real
we actually
estate
have the one
developer.com.
with the S too. So that way either one of those will go. Yeah.
Nice.
We try to make it as easy as possible.
And through that's where, because you talked about the blueprint course, the masterclass and the mentorship, that's all through that.
Yep.
Right. Yeah. And
if you go to localrealestatedeveloper.com, it'll have those. We should add in, now that the podcast will go live, we'll add that. So basically, if you go to that website, that will have everything.
excellent.
Yep. I'm
And-
looking at it right now.
For everybody listening that may not know, it's Kristi Kandel, Kandel. All I did was put that into Google and she came up right away. So it's as easy as that, y'all. Anything else you want to say?
If you're curious at all about real estate development, I geek out on this. I want to empower you. I want you to be the one doing your project. So I'm happy to jump on a call and just talk about your idea.
I love it.
Awesome.
Yeah. If you need help at all, as y'all are doing this podcast, or at any moment where I could help in any way, please just reach out to me.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything else, brother?
Man, I think that'll do it. Thanks so much, Kristi, for coming on.
Yeah, Kristi, thank you so much.
We've had this planned for a couple months now, and I'm excited we finally got to do it.
Thank you.
So thanks for your time.
Yeah. Everybody watching on YouTube right now, hit subscribe, ding that little bell. If you're listening on a podcast platform, leave us a review. That helps us a great deal. You can find us at Commercially Speaking anywhere you're looking. And love you, brother.
Love you, man.
Bye, Alice.
Bye, Alice.
Bye, Alice.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks, Kristi.
Yay.
Yay, I gotta hear you.
It's the best. The best. Sweet.
Keep doing what you're doing. I seriously, your guys' pod is one of my favorite ones to comment. Yours, Cody Sanchez, and My First Million. This because you guys actually talk about real stuff. You're funny and you have good guests and good content. And I learned from your AI ones, so I'll take some of those and be like, oh yes, so I like that angle.